So, hi everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Pink Lady Presents. I get all excited because.
Why do you get all excited,
Let me
Pink?
tell you why. Because the guests we have on are so different all the time. I mean, we have people from corporations, and we have stars, and we have singers, and we have people who dance, and people who play instruments,
And people from South Africa,
from
and
South
from
Africa,
France,
right,
and from
everywhere.
China.
And women and veterans who are major generals. I mean, we even had Ruth Wong, who
It's
is
a brigadier general.
A brigadier general, a
Right.
woman. So today,
They have women that are brigadier
quiet.
generals? Okay.
So today, I am so happy because I have a friend on as well. And he is a specialized, unique, related marketing gentleman, Larry Deutschman. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, Larry.
Thanks for having me.
We're
Well,
happy to have you.
I have to tell you first that we know Larry and his lovely bride, Donna, and we'll tell you why later.
She's been a guest on the show.
Right.
That's-
And you've met her for Homes for Family, so we're going to talk about that afterwards. But right now, we're going to concentrate just on you for a change, Larry.
Okay.
What is a specialized, unique, related marketing writer, producer, and marketing creative executive? Woo!
and you only have 7 hours to answer that question.
Yeah. Okay. I hadn't planned on that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, essentially, what I do is take unique approaches to addressing
Everything.
different. Yeah.
Social
yeah,
issues even.
Exactly.
Right, that's what I've
yeah,
been reading.
Exactly. And so it runs the gamut. I once put the world's largest seatbelt around the
I
Hollywood
know, I
sign.
was going to ask you that. What did you tell everybody about
Okay,
that?
well, sure.
That
It
is
was
so cute.
We did this event called Buckle Up Hollywood,
Right.
and we had to hire repellers. We had fabricated this gigantic seatbelt. We had to get permission from the neighborhood associations
right.
in the area of the Hollywood sign.
Right.
It was actually the very last time that somebody was allowed to do a publicity stunt with the sign because the neighborhood was cracking down.
Yes.
But
Traffic.
because of the cause,
Right.
they allowed us to do it. So we had these repellers that were
Now,
on the
repellers are people that.
yeah, people that
Okay.
repel. Yeah, exactly. And what they did was they got on the back of the letters of the Hollywood sign, and they rigged the thing up so that it rested across the top, but you couldn't see it.
Oh.
And we had on the hillside, up way in the foreground, we had about 24 celebrities all on bleachers, and they all yelled in unison, "Buckle Up Hollywood," and honked a car horn on a steering wheel. And at that signal, the seatbelt dropped in front of the Hollywood sign, the repellers and tied it off.
Oh, my.
And that's where it stayed for the balance of the day.
I love that. That was very creative.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It really was. And, we even the day before did a trial run with the thing. And so it was definitely getting a lot of, strange attention on, on KNX, on the radio news.
Right.
Where, what the heck is going on up there? But it was really a fun event to do.
Well,
That's great.
how did you begin all this? Where was your beginning? As a young man, you went to college
Yeah, and
to study what?
to
Besides girls. I mean, that's where you go. Girls go to study boys, boys go to study girls.
Yeah, well, I met mine in college anyway. But
Oh, you met Donna?
Yeah.
Oh, I
that's-
love
yeah.
that. Okay.
We were engaged before we graduated, but what happened was I went to college for communications and film,
Okay.
and when I graduated, we moved out here to LA.
Where were you?
We had been in New Jersey,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't
and
hear an accent.
no, I lost a long time.
You
I-
worked really hard to get rid of that.
I've never been in any one place long
Okay,
enough to because my father was getting transferred a lot.
And what was he doing?
He was a salesman for Atalanta Company, which
Oh.
does imported foods.
Right.
And so when I was a baby, we moved to Chicago. But then before I could develop the Chicago accent, we moved to New Jersey. So then we, right after college, I
Right.
moved out here. So I never picked up I mean, my family all have either
the accent.
Chicago accents or
Or New
New York
Jersey.
accents. Yeah. And I never got it. So anyway, back to the story.
Right, that's
so
it.
what happened was that I moved to LA and I got a job in PR for the National Safety Council's Greater LA chapter.
Oh.
And while I was there, because I was bored out of my mind with what I was doing, I decided to create a movement to get actors to put on their seatbelts for their driving scenes.
There you go. In other
And-
words, they never did that?
No, it didn't really happen.
Wow.
And so what was happening was you'd see these unrealistic crashes where people would just walk away unscathed. And so as a way to role model for the public, because seatbelt use was very low at the time, this was just around the time when they were pushing to get seatbelt laws. So what I did was mobilized the entertainment industry around starting to show
Actors.
actors using their
Wow.
seatbelts in their driving scenes in TV shows and in movies.
Was that hard to do that? I mean,
it-
how much resistance was there?
There was none. And
Wow,
the
good
reason
for
there was
you.
none, I wasn't the first one who tried it. The folks who tried it before that got lambasted. But what I did was, I mean, it's basic Psych 101.
Okay.
You sit there and you say, okay, well, rather than attacking them for doing the wrong thing, why not encourage them to do
You
the right thing?
Good for you.
Instead of coming from the outside as an outside advocate, what I did was I enrolled like about 75 actors to lend their names saying they were going to do it and calling upon their peers to do it. So it was peer to peer.
Correct.
Right.
And
Do you remember
so
who the first major name was that agreed to help?
I wish I could tell you, but it was all happening very quickly
Very fast.
because
Right.
I tend to shotgun things. And so I was reaching out to all of my contacts at the same time. And so the names just started to come in because, you know, most people sort of said, well,
Makes
yeah,
sense.
it makes sense.
Right.
I never thought about it. My driving scenes are usually me being towed by a
Oh, my
trailer.
Sure.
And so I don't think about it as real driving.
Correct. Right.
And it began a domino effect where somebody would do a driving scene with somebody else, they'd put their seatbelt on, the other person in the scene would
Oh, is
decide to put it on too.
Yeah.
Sure.
By the time that production was done,
Everybody's
they picked
wearing
up the
it.
habit
Right.
and they'd bring it to the next thing they worked on.
Sure.
Wow. And how long did it take you to actually get it done in the industry there?
I would say the whole thing, it went from about 85 to probably 88 or 89
Okay,
that it
okay.
took for us to get to the point where we had like nearly universal use on
Oh, my
TV
goodness.
shows.
Wow.
Movies much less so, but still significant use there
And
as
when
well.
did it actually get into movies? Because there's
well,
tons of scenes
around
of
the
cars,
same
you know,
time.
crashing.
It was around the same time. But it just wasn't as frequent.
And when were the laws passed? I don't
I
recall.
remember either.
During that same period of
90s.
time, yeah, it was late '80s.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, so it was all happening around that same time. So it was kind of the combination of having the laws in effect and the fact that when you do something like that, it's subliminal.
Yes.
People begin to think that they're seeing more people because seatbelt use was so low at the time, but they began thinking that more people were wearing seatbelts than really were because they were being exposed to it subliminally by the TV shows and movies they were watching.
Right.
So it began to seem like the popular thing to do, so people started using their own seatbelts in public. And so during the course of that
Right.
campaign, seatbelt use more than doubled in the public.
And
So
lives were being saved.
yeah,
So you're doing
I'm
good.
sure they had statistics on
doing
that.
good by
you know.
doing well.
Exactly.
So, when did you begin to bring in, I love this, crash dummies? Because that's all about SEPA. So tell everyone, I mean, how did, because naturally children are in a car. I mean, all this stuff, I mean, with seatbelts and their car seats. I mean, that came in later. Because I remember my kids were all over the back seat with no seatbelt. I mean, we didn't have it in my
Oh,
my,
absolutely. Well, what happened was after I left the Safety Council, I went to work for the Entertainment Industries Council, and there they kind of took over what we had started with the seatbelts.
Okay.
And in order to continue the funding, because our grant was running out, I approached the government, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, about getting some development funds to create characters that we could license to generate revenue to fund our program. What happened was they said, well, why develop new characters? We've been doing these PSAs
Right.
with these crash dummies in them. Use our crash dummies and do it that way. So we entered into an agreement with the government to use their crash dummies, and I wound up inventing a toy line in the process. And Tyco Toys licensed it, and the rest was history. We had not only a tremendous success, but it was something that taught kids about seatbelts in the process.
Right.
And it was really kind of interesting because what happens is that when you have kids playing with cars, boys in particular,
They crash.
Yeah, they call it crash and bash.
Right,
That's the play
exactly,
pattern.
right.
And so we suddenly had this this action figure toy, these cars that were meant to be crashed, that would break apart when it crashed.
Right.
Well, normally when you do that, your toy's done. I mean, that's it. You got to get a new one, right? Well, this was meant to crash, so they would break apart. You
Okay.
put them right back together again and do it again. So we designed it to do exactly what kids do. So that's why it was so popular. And
So
then
wait a minute. So before, when they crashed, it broke, and
It
that was
broke
the end of
and
it.
You
Yeah,
throw it away
exactly.
and go get another one.
Ah,
Which was
okay.
better
Yeah.
for the manufacturer,
Well,
Yeah.
but not for their lives.
exactly. Well, and yeah, but mom and dad are really ticked off.
Right.
You had it for 2 days and it's broken.
Yes,
Like,
oh, I see.
you know, but this was designed
Sure.
to break, and you would just pop it all back together and do it again. And the dummies themselves were designed to break as well. So there was a seatbelt in the car.
Right.
You put the seatbelt on, and the dummy stayed put, went through the crash. If you left it off, which was much more fun,
Yes.
if you left the seatbelt off, the buttons on the dummy would get pressed, and the head and the limbs would fly off. And so, which is, it's a sick concept, but
my
because it was
God.
just a dummy,
Right.
I know.
not a person,
Right.
that you could get away with it. And it was all in good fun.
Sure.
And,
And
now-
safety.
And
It
safety,
taught
right.
something, yeah.
Now, so it was Tyco / Mattel that bought it? Or?
Yeah, it was Tyco, and then after the line was out for 2 years, and then about 10 years later, Mattel had purchased Tyco, and they re-released a new
Crash
wave
Babies.
of crash dummies. And
Now, is
that
it
lasted
still
for
out
about a
there
year.
now?
No, it lasted for about a year or so,
Oh,
and
okay.
you know, but it's
I would
you know,
think kids would still like that today.
yeah. Well, it's been about
Time to
15
bring it
years.
back.
Time
Yeah,
to bring
time
it
to
back.
bring it back.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So at any rate, but
The kids who played with it now have kids.
yeah.
They could play with it.
Yeah.
It's ready.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, the machinations behind the scenes of why the toy line ultimately didn't last, I could spend an hour on your show talking about, but it anyway. You learn a lot of lessons.
So
You do.
the other lesson is if you still have this
Mm-hmm.
and it's still in the package, the
Yeah.
original package,
Mm-hmm.
you've got something that's really valuable.
Yeah.
That's probably true. Yeah,
Yes.
I know.
People do collect
I
original
forget. I
toys.
mean, every now and then I go onto eBay to see if
Mm-hmm.
they're selling them and what they're going for.
Because I
but-
was going to ask where can
it's
one
not,
get it?
I mean,
you
it's
know?
not huge money.
No,
but they do increase in value.
Now, do you have any inventory? Can somebody
Um,
contact Larry Deutschman and get one
No.
of
No, I mean I've got I've got basically one complete set that's still in the package and one complete set that's
That's,
You
unpackaged.
would keep that for your
Yeah,
grandchildren.
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly, but
And
that's
that
it.
goes into the Deutschman Museum?
The Deutschman Museum.
We don't let anyone
Yes,
play with that one.
yes,
What
where we sell
was
the souvenir book.
What was the Buckle Up 100 Club?
It was essentially, at that time, they began to recognize the fact that by corporations doing a safety belt educational initiative for their employees,
Right.
that they could save huge amounts in healthcare costs. And
Oh.
so this is while I was still at the Safety Council,
Right.
we launched we launched an initiative called the Buckle Up 100 Club, which was designed to get 100 corporations signed on
Got it.
to do these initiatives for their employees.
Before we go on, I want everyone to see these little cute pictures of the crash dummies in a film. Can we do that now?
Sure. Read
Thank
it.
you. Here we go.
It's the incredible Crash Dummies! I feel like a wreck. Tree! When dummies get behind the wheel, it's their job to crash.
I'd like to see you do that again.
Whatever you say, kid. Crash! With a crash car, they meet everything head on.
I just love going to pieces.
Don't you be a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
And leave the crashing to us.
The incredible Crash Dummies. Each car comes with special dummies.
That is, well, first of all, it's adorable, but my first reaction as a parent, grandmother, and great grandmother is that must have wakened the kids up and the parents to using a seatbelt.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
I think was fabulous. But you also did something with Hollywood. What was Hollywood Mad?
That was a TV special that I worked on that was designed to address drunk driving and the use of designated drivers, and
wow.
it was done through showing clips from different movies that and how the portrayal of alcohol use and drunk driving had been changed over the years so that they began to talk about using a designated driver so that the character who's driving wouldn't
Right.
wouldn't drive. Or
Oh.
a character who was driving wouldn't drink, I mean.
We drink.
Yeah.
And so this is what part of what we were talking about in the very beginning, a creative marketing.
Yes.
I mean, taking things that are social things that we do every day and helping people understand. You also,
And by the way, that
Yeah.
I am the perpetual non-drinking designated driver because I will not get into a car with people that have been drinking, so I just don't drink and I drive the car.
Right.
Works out very well. We have not had a problem.
no, thank you, God. You were
Okay.
also executive producer of like AIDS and HIV, and how did you
it's
get
lots
into all
of-
that?
Well,
I mean,
I
Larry,
I
you're-
wor-
I
I
mean,
worked
love
at this
that.
organization called the Entertainment Industries
There
Council.
you go. Okay.
And the whole mission of the organization was to work with the entertainment industry on how different health and social issues were portrayed on screen and to encourage the industry to get involved in different issues. And so in the process, we produced a lot of different issue-oriented videos, TV programs, PSA campaigns, all of that. So that's where all that comes from. But
give me an example.
let's see. We did a campaign for several years. We actually ran the entire marketing campaign and advertising campaign for the state of Texas's anti-drug campaign.
Oh wow! Now, what was that like to do?
It was a little bit unusual because, here we were, these, Hollywood folks coming in like carpetbaggers into the state, and we were, constantly coming in and out. And the whole idea was to take a less traditional
Okay.
approach. to dealing with the issue instead of the more bureaucratic approach
And
that the
what
state
was
was
that
taking.
approach?
To a certain extent, it used production values that were more like, Hollywood production values. We sometimes used celebrities. We just did more out of the box thinking and tried to stay away from the mentality that this is wrong, but instead focus on, what you can do that's better for you.
Right.
What is the impact to your life?
How long was that program done then?
That was probably about 3 years,
Oh, okay.
and huge initiative with multiple ad agencies under contract to us and all of that. Several university research programs working for us. It was really a huge initiative because it was the entire state of Texas's.
Oh. What was the, you were also executive vice president, I think, of the Entertainment Industry Council.
Right.
What is that actually?
The Entertainment Industries
Yeah,
Council.
yeah.
Well, that's the organization that I was talking about. They're the ones that we produced all of those campaigns, and we a lot of what we did was focused on providing creators from the entertainment industry
Okay.
with accurate information on different health and social issues, so they could portray it more accurately in their films
filming
and
and
TV
everything.
shows. And we had just a myriad of different issues that we were involved in, but initially it was just the drug issue.
Right.
And then when I came to the organization, I brought seatbelts into the fold, and then it expanded
okay.
to HIV and AIDS, to human trafficking, to smoking, to
Everything,
alcohol,
the social
everything.
issues,
Yeah.
everything and all.
Yeah, it was all over the map, but the whole idea was that we were a resource to creators, so they could contact us and say, "We're working on an episode of our show, and it's going to deal with, cancer. And can you find us an expert we can talk to get it right?" Because
So you're like a contact.
a conduit broker for those kinds of things, and because there are studies that have shown that most people get their health information from watching TV, and which is scary.
Yes, it is.
Nowadays,
But
they get all their information from watching TV, unfortunately.
practically, yeah, but because of that fact, we wanted to try and help the entertainment industry do so accurately so that the message that the public is getting is one that's correct and not leading them down a path of,
To nowhere.
It seems like a natural synergy because the whole advertising industry is to convince people to think a certain way. And what you want to do is help them live better lives, safer lives, by thinking a different way.
Yeah.
Without saying, don't do that.
Don't do it.
Well, the interesting thing, I don't know, you familiar with Marshall McLuhan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marshall McLuhan once said,
But about our audience.
Yeah.
oh, all
Just
right,
like
okay.
that.
He was a famous communications academician and writer. He was big in the field of communications during its early days of evolving as a discipline
Right.
unto itself, and he also has a cameo part in Annie Hall. But anyway, but he once said that anybody who sees a difference between entertainment and education doesn't know the first thing about either.
Either one, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but at the same time,
Right.
was it Louis B. Mayer said, if you want to send a message, call Western Union.
Oh.
So there's two extremes there. On the one hand, the reality is you can't help but send a message through entertainment, but on the other hand, entertainment people don't necessarily want to be responsible for sending messages.
Right.
And I fall somewhere
In the middle. Yeah.
in the middle in how I operate. And the idea is that the entertainment industry can't be wholly responsible for solving all the problems of mankind, nor be held responsible for causing them. But there's a role that they can play as a partner with the rest of society in making a difference. And
Oh, 'cause they
that's
reach
where I
out,
try to.
right to so many people.
And I
Yeah.
know, I know
Exactly.
that now that you're teaching. Tell us more about that and
Well-
where and what.
Yeah, well, I'm teaching at Chapman University a
Right.
course on entertainment education or infotainment, however you want to call it. And the idea is helping them to learn how to use TV and movies as a way to convey messages about health and social issues. And
Yeah. And you also have a client and a family member, Homes for Family.
yes,
And what you do something for them, you also do a builder's ball and you celebs for vets, and you also do the rappelling thing over the edge.
Right.
Can you tell our audience about that? First, what is Homes for Family?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good place to start. Homes for Families is a nonprofit organization, and they exist to try and help veterans to move into the middle class and be successful. And they do that through, on the one hand, building homes, and on the other hand, they do it through providing services to those families that are purchasing those homes, so that they can not only move into affordable housing but can be successful in that new life. They teach them how to budget, so they provide financial literacy training and all of that. But they also provide trauma-informed programming, trauma-informed art programs and drumming programs, and all of that is designed so that veterans can be with veterans and share their stories, share their common experiences, and get healthy together.
Well, it's a family.
Right, and also, just so that the viewing audience understands a bit more, veterans are those like me who have served and are now not in the military. But Homes for Families also works with active duty military so that they may still be in the service. And this is a way for them to start acquiring a home and learning how to keep it. There's nothing worse than finally getting your own place to live after never having one and then losing it because you didn't know how to manage the finance. It's a wonderful program,
What is-
Homes for Families.
What is the PRISM Awards that you've been involved
Oh, okay.
with?
Yeah, that is something I produced those for 19 years.
Right. Wow.
They were awards that were presented to TV shows and movies for accurate portrayals of substance abuse related issues, addiction, mental health issues.
Wow.
And it was not only an awards event, but it was also a TV special as well.
Ah, okay. And you also authored with people a book called Spotlight on Depiction of Health with Social Issues.
Yes, that was
That was
with-
like a booklet?
Yeah, it was about half an inch.
Okay.
And it was a resource encyclopedia for the creative community on different health and social issues and ways to consider portraying those issues in a way that, again, could get the right messages across.
And do you feel that because of what you've been doing, where is it leading you now? I know that you're helping Homes for Family a lot, and I know that's a source of pride and everything for you and
And
Donna.
we want to hear about the rappelling, because that's
Oh.
a great, exciting program to draw attention to Homes for Families.
Yeah, well, what I'm doing right now for Homes for Families is several things. One is I've done a couple of these fundraising events, Over the Edge, which is essentially people. It's almost like a fundraising walk,
Right.
except it's vertical.
Right.
People rappel down the outside of the Universal Hilton from the roof.
Okay.
26 stories.
Right.
And it's to raise money for Homes for Families. And, it's a very exciting event, an exciting day. And so you're sponsoring rappellers instead of sponsoring walkers.
I love it.
But then the other thing which I've helped them to launch is Celebs for Vets.
Yeah, what is that?
And it's a group of entertainment industry people who are committed to Homes for Families mission and get involved in the organization in different ways as called upon. But in particular, what we've been doing as a group is celebrity builds.
Oh,
And so
what
what
is
happens,
that?
we come out to the build site where Homes for Families is
Right.
building homes. We bring out, 20, 30 celebrities at a time,
Oh.
and they spend the day working their tails off.
Oh,
And-
actually working.
Oh, you're
I
darn right.
love that.
It's funny
Building.
because some organizations, it's like, a photo op. You come out, you pretend you're hammering nails
Right,
for
right.
a
You leave,
few minutes,
yeah.
and then you leave. But this
is real.
This is real. They
Oh.
come in, and from 9 a.m. to 2:30, they are working, and
that.
anything from hammering together, framing
Right,
houses,
right.
to doing finished carpentry work, to mixing concrete and pouring driveways. It's heavy, backbreaking labor.
Yeah.
As one of my friends, Reed Diamond, who's an actor, came out and he said, "You guys don't give us celebrity jobs." And I said, "Nope."
I love that.
So, and that's all we want. We want people who are there for the right reasons to work. And they not only work, but they also raise money leading into the build for their building supplies.
Right,
Oh.
and I wanted to mention a couple of things that I became aware of. One of which is, I know you have a great friend with Anheuser-Busch, and that you had a lot of support from their employees to get involved and roll up their sleeves and help in the building. And the other person that I wanted to mention is David Levinson, who is the CEO of Big Sunday. And at the recent key ceremony, when keys were presented to some 26 or so families, he arranged to get brand new bicycles and new helmets
Yes.
for every child and every adult moving into their new home. And when they got to their house, they had these bright colored, beautiful new bikes assembled by Northrop Grumman. So I mean that the whole community is being getting involved.
Exactly.
They're more than just pretty faces out there.
Well, and it's interesting. I mean, yes, the business community has been really, really supportive.
Yeah.
And what's great, too, is the fact that the veterans themselves
Yeah.
are building the houses, working on it, plus they're participating in those educationals, and that's all part of their sweat equity
Exactly.
in order to qualify for the home.
It makes them a family.
But exactly, what
Yeah,
happens is
family.
by the time they move in,
That's
they
right.
know all their neighbors, and they know that somebody's got their six.
And what is Larry Deutschman, besides being very creative, now we all know what creative means. What are your plans now, Larry?
Well, I'm going to continue to teach because I'm really enjoying working
I
with
love
the kids.
that.
I got to
Good.
tell you,
I'm sure your students
and
have.
until I started doing it, I had no idea that I was gonna. I am going to continue doing this kind of work for public service organizations, and also doing some producing of my own for television. So.
Well, if you ever need a little old lady, not that I am, but
Little only in stature.
in stature,
Yes.
thank you. But anyway, we are so pleased that you came with us today. I know you've gotten a lot of awards. In your mind, because you're a humble man, and I like that about you, what award that you received made you feel really good?
To tell you the truth, I don't think any particular one. I mean, I list them on my resume, but the reality is that it's never been about that.
I know.
And
I know.
no particular one stands out for me. For me, it's just been about the fun of the experience of doing it.
Well,
But
I think-
I have my answer to her
Right. I
question
know what
about
you-
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my answer would be that you are married to Donna Deutschman.
Well, that's
And I can't think of a better award in life.
what's amazing to me with Donna is the fact that, you know, whether it's been here with Homes for Families or whether it was when she was at, you know, One Generation,
Right.
that whatever population it is that she's serving, that she becomes all about it.
Yes.
She lives and breathes it.
Yeah.
And it's like you can throw all the politics you want and the problems and whatever at her, and what her decision making all boils down to is what's in the best interests
For
of
who I'm dealing with.
of
exactly.
the veterans or
client.
whatever.
The kind. Dear audience, if
And-
you
and
knew
doing that.
her and her dedication to our veteran community, and please look it up. In fact, right now, let's go to Families for Veterans.
Homes for
Homes for
Families.
Families.
Homes for Families.
Yeah,
Oh,
veteran
you got me
enriched
off. I know,
neighborhoods.
I know.
Yes.
We're here building homes for veterans. It's an extremely worthy cause. I think one I'm really proud to be a part of.
It's part of what we do as Americans, that we take care of each other, especially for our military families. At the very least, they should have a home and some food and, you know, a good place to live.
Owning your own home, it's so important, especially, you know, you've got a family, you need to feel grounded. And it's amazing, you know, these people have obviously, they've sacrificed a great deal, you know, for our safety and for our freedom. And it's nice that they can have a little safety and freedom and, you know, a home of their own.
Our veterans obviously give more than any other kind of citizen. I think they're willing to put their lives on the line, and it seems that when a lot of them come home, they don't get looked after in the way that they should. They're not honoured in the way that they should be. And so to do something like this is just a nice thing to be able to give back.
You know, I've always had a good place, a deep place in my heart for anything that we can do to help them out. All my uncles, everybody was in Vietnam, but they're all veterans as well. And they didn't always get the help that they needed. So, you know, I'm very apt to do anything that I can to help facilitate that help.
I just really believe there should never be a sentence as homeless vet. I feel like we should take care of them. These people have been willing to give up their lives for strangers, for our country.
I come from a family that's very passionate about low-income communities and about making low-income communities beautiful. So you're not able to like pinpoint them in any capacity. So I love to be a part of projects. I think that if you're living in any way below the poverty line for whatever your reasoning, you should still be allotted a beautiful home.
So I think it's important for the people that are volunteering today to take something away from this. They're taking away, you know, a sense of giving. They've given back to humanity, societies, you know, an individual family, which is great. You know, we got to meet one of the veterans whose home we're working on with this program. So it's cool that they got to look somebody in the face and say, look, I'm going to help you get into your house. And that person was able to look them in the face and say thank you.
Homes for Families is a really amazing organization because not only is it giving vets houses, it is allowing veterans to have communities with each other. I mean, this entire community is all veterans. So it's all people who have had similar experiences and therefore have a support system built into their home community.
I've always been a huge supporter of the military in general, but as far as the men and women who've served, you know, to help those guys out when they come back home, I think should be one of our country's top priorities.
You know, it's such a great idea to just get a bunch of people together and build homes for people that otherwise have a hard time getting that accomplished. You know, so I think it's such a great organization to be a part of.
A lot of times you have stuff that you can't see what you have done, and I think with this you can say, no, a family lives there. Like they have four walls, they have a roof, they have a community, they can rely on each other, and I think they also have a lot of support organizations with it as well. It's not just building the house, it's building a community, and so I think that's amazing.
Wow. I tell you, Larry, you are, and your wife Donna, are definitely a force to reckon with everything that you do, which is fabulous for Families for Veterans. Because what you do in your creative work with HIV, with drugs, with seatbelts, with social issues, the biggest social issue, as we know today, are the homeless veterans. And giving a veteran a helping hand who is out there that wants to do good and wants to have a home with his family. And you both do it, and you both do it well. So I think our audience, Dove and I, we wish you both the biggest success. We'll help. I'll even do screwing a knob. I mean, I'll do it.
He actually has a pink hard hat.
Yes,
So
and I
she
did.
does-
I got
She shows
that.
up
I got
and
that.
wears it when she's working on a
We've
house.
got a women's build coming up.
Yes,
That's right.
So you know what? I'm going to be there. Thank you so much again. God bless you for what you do for all of us to make our world a better place. Thank you. Larry Deutschman, a life well lived. Donna Deutschman, definitely a life well lived. God bless you all. See you soon.
Amen.
I'm gonna live until I die. The blues I lay low, I'll make 'em stay low. They'll never trail over my head.